Welcome to another episode of First Connect. This is your bridge from one Sunday to the next here at First Baptist Church, where we cover a lot of things that are going on in the life of our church, the programs, the events, the activities, people. The people, and that's what we really like to highlight. So let's talk about some people, because we are people.
I'm a people for sure.
And I know you are feeling a little sluggish. We'll talk about that a little bit more. You had a pretty big weekend this past weekend, but on the home front then, after a pretty big weekend, yes. Disciple Now, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But on the home front, what's been going on for you?
Man, we are in birthday season in the Powell house. Erica and Anna are both November babies. So Erica November 1st and Anna November 13th. And we've had a lot going on, so our parties have been a little in random locations and times and that sort of thing. But we've got I think a pretty good gift headed Anna's way for next week that she'll be excited to get.
Are we going to do a big reveal
There's
right now?
no reveal taking place here because sometimes my family watches the stuff that I do.
Okay. So we'll keep it
We very well may be in safe territory, but we're not going to take that risk.
Well, for sure. So we'll have to show something later. Okay.
And how about you brewers?
So the brewer household, well, the attic has been just every now and then when I open up the attic door, I hear a little rumble. And the closer we get to this time of year, those rumbles even more. And so this past weekend, the boxes of Christmas burst open. They are no longer rumbling. They have scattered throughout our house. Yes, Christmas has hit the brewer house. And not soon enough, according to my wife. She usually tries to wait through Halloween before she breaks out Christmas. And we have done that. So we got Christmas tree up in one place. And I'm sure I'll go home today and there'll be even more.
Is the music playing?
Music has been playing, nonstop since October 31st.
There you go. Well, we watched our first full Hallmark Christmas movie. Was that 2 nights ago, I think?
Yes.
The current TV plan we're on doesn't have Hallmark, but we finally discovered the Friendly TV plan for like $7 a month, where you can get all your Hallmark stuff. So anybody out there looking to do that's cut the cord, you can do that.
You can do that.
Cut the cable.
Yeah, you can cut the cable, but you can still do Hallmark.
Would they sponsor the show? Would Friendly?
Maybe so.
Okay, well, it's possible.
We'll call and check and see on that. Yeah, so that's home front. Some church happenings. We're gonna camp out there for quite a while.
Absolutely, and why don't we start at Flannel Fest, which did happen.
It did.
It was in peril for a little bit because weather rained out the initial one.
It did. It rained it out big time.
Every day surrounding it, it was just an inundation all week long. But man, we got to last Tuesday, and the weather was beautiful.
Yes,
I think to quote Jim Carrey in the 90s. What did you think about Flannel Fest?
Man, it was a great time. Flannel Fest. So we did Flannel Fest really this year, the first time we've done that, really to replace a couple other things that we couldn't do because of COVID.
Right.
So our Community Fall Festival, that's a lot more hands-on with people, didn't do that. Our big Sunday event that we typically do as well, we didn't do that. But this really pulled both of those ideas together in a sense, where we just got to gather out at the Farmland Adventures in Springdale and huge farm, cornfield, fire pits, hay rides, and petting zoo with the farm animals, all kinds of things.
Human foosball and pedal carts and all kinds of stuff going on.
The thing I thought was really, really pretty cool about this event is that over 200 of us gathered to do this together, but our whole church family got to be together, see each other. Man, we needed that.
For sure.
In these times, didn't we?
Well, yeah, and here's what I thought was cool. So it got bumped off of a Wednesday night to really the last night that there was. I mean, like, people aren't probably not flocking on a Tuesday night on election night to get out and do something. But like it was the last week before their season was ending.
Yes.
So like it's either we do this or we don't. It's like, okay, we'll do it, but I don't know what turnout's going to be like. Turnout was outstanding.
Way to go, folks.
And it was a really, really good time. I had, I think, 36 of our students were out there. There were about something like 20 college students out there. It was just mess of families. You said upward of 200 people altogether.
Yeah, just over 200 folks. Lisa Wheat was really helping to track folks as they were coming in the door. I think she said like 208.
I think I heard 208.
Give or take some. But I think you've already mentioned what I thought was really cool about it is some of the different groups within our church family. So we got to gather as a church family, but the youth group got to really be a youth group together as well. The college group that got to show up because it got bumped off on Wednesday night. They really got to participate more as well. And they showed up. I think they did a whole hayride just as college students together, seeing our young families all gathered around fire pits, roasting hot dogs, doing s'mores, petting the animals,
claiming the what would you call that, hay bale tower right there in the middle there. That was my kids loved that.
And that's what our kids loved it. They enjoyed it. So I know you took advantage of here's a great big church family event to gather together, but youth getting to show up there. Some of the youth showing up without their families.
That's right.
As well.
For sure. Well, look, we were at the tail end of Squad Wars here, which is kind of a big deal in youth group world, where our students again were divided out into 4 color teams: orange, black, green, and pink. And we'd given them a challenge that night, which was go and we're going to text out a prompt for your squad. So you have to take your corniest picture. Picture, and you'll have to give us your hallmark moments, which they're pretty fun. I'm assuming Lance is going to throw these up here. And then we had one that was our students planking, and then down there playing human foosball. We wanted a good action shot from those guys, so they had a really, really good time. Programmed and unprogrammed. Good time.
It was great. I know near the end of the evening. So we did this from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Those of you that didn't get a chance to be out there, that we were out there. And near the end of the night, 7:30ish, 7:45, well, really 8 o'clock, I was walking back up from the pedal cart area where I was hanging out with John Powell. He was down there just going crazy. Our wives were just visiting, talking. Right. And Erica was keeping an eye on John. I showed up and played with John, and he just wore me out for about 15 minutes running and chasing and playing together. But my daughter and I, we did a little pedal cart race as well, and I'd never ridden a pedal cart before. And I'm telling you, the next day my hamstrings and my quads, where they were feeling this pedal cart action going on. I hadn't been on those. Those are laborious. Those aren't like motorized.
It's not really a recreational vehicle. That's exercise.
Yeah, but when I walk back up from that, I look at the big hay mountain of hay that you were talking about, and I see just people all over it. When I get close, I see David barking out orders and realize it's the youth group just covered this. How many students were out there?
Well, I think the count I got is 36. Now we finally got a group shot at the end, but we had about 6 or 7 students who'd already had to leave by that point. But so that's probably somewhere around 30 of them, and just had a blast.
That was pretty cool. Really to see them do that. Of course, they did all their activities and things. I think they were out there being children of the corn, type of thing, playing in the corn mazes and those things to get to see the college students doing their thing and engaging. The petting zoo thing. Did you do that at all?
I did a little bit. Man, we put our $1 in there and got our little handfuls of feed and. It's a good time. The kiddos loved it.
Any fan? What would be some of the fan favorite animals out there? You think? I heard.
Well, see, the real big goats, and you had the little bitty ones, and trying to get food to the little ones when these big ones are reaching over was a difficult thing to do. The little piglets were hilarious, though.
They were squealers. I'm telling you, they would squeal away. So everybody got to hold a piglet if they wanted to. So pretty cool.
A lot of fun.
Flannel Fest. It was a good time.
A lot of fun.
Just to get to hang out together. There's a lot of folks did a lot of good work. I know the activities committee.
We actually did something this year.
I know you helped.
Everything else got knocked out.
No, so a couple of the guys I know for sure we're just knocking it out.
That's
on the
right.
activities committee. committee.
Ron and Alan holding down the fort
Ron,
for sure.
Ron Eaton, your uncle,
My uncle.
and then Alan Pugh. They were out there just
Not blood. He's not a blood uncle. He's married to my dad's baby sister.
Well, yeah. Sometimes the non-blood ones we like better. I'm
we
just
love
kidding.
Uncle Ron. We love Uncle Ron.
But that's good. So good time. Thanks for everybody that helped come out and be a part of that and do that. Other church happenings. I already mentioned kind of a big weekend in student ministry life.
That's right.
For our in our church family.
Oh man.
So the youth group, the student ministry was doing this big Disciple Now weekend. So what is a Disciple Now?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to yawn again here. I'm still feeling the effects of this weekend because it's a grueling week leading in, making sure everything is in place, and then long days into the deep night. So I was asleep about 1 o'clock going into Saturday morning and 1 o'clock going into Sunday morning before we came up here. There's a lot in it, but it was an outstanding weekend. Disciple Now is a very, very relational weekend. I say we focus on 2 relationships over the span of that weekend. First one is challenging students in their own relationship with the Lord, and that is primary. That's why we do the event. But there's just a very close secondary purpose to the event, and that's relationships between our students there.
Oh, yeah.
And so, when you spend, let's say, 6 to 10 p.m., 5:30 to 10 p.m. together on Friday night, and you spend 8 a.m. to like 11 p.m. together on Saturday, like that's a full weekend together, grinding it out.
So that's a lot of time. That's a good thing?
That's a lot of time, and it's a really good thing. You run into a teenager in the church this week. They were probably there this weekend if you see them. That you ought to ask them how it was.
Yeah. I'm really kind of kidding about that all that time together. Teenagers love that, just being together and gathering together. You talk about the importance of those relationships with one another in the context of a relationship with God, and doing that. So going into everything this year in 2020, there's been a little altering or a lot of altering to some things. I know the student ministry didn't get to do a lot of important things this summer,
right.
And that this was maybe a culminating time of some things. So what was kind of different? Can you give a quick synopsis? What was different about Disciple Now this year, and then how did it really impact youth group life?
Very simple. Same COVID precautions we've taken for everything. So we were masked up indoors, and consistently so. We had food there, but we were eating our stuff outside, so we could try to maintain some responsibility there. Yep. So that's in place. And the other thing is a big part of Disciple Now. Anywhere you go, any youth group doing a Disciple Now, you use host homes. So you'll have families in your church agree. Sign up, volunteer,
as opposed to here we're here.
It's very rarely through coercion, but when you do what you got to do.
Yep.
They volunteer to host groups for the weekend, and most of the time really enjoy that. A lot of times, so let's say you got 7th and 8th grade boys. A lot of times it'll be one of the families of one of those boys, and so they're just having basically a sleepover at their house, discipleship oriented, with a couple of college students there tasked to that group. Mm-hmm. So you'd have a house for 7th and 8th grade boys, and for 9th and 10th grade girls, and let's say 11th and 12th grade boys. So we're using 6 groups this weekend with 12 college student leaders there. We had 45 of our students show up.
Wow.
Man, we had, like 10, 12, 13 parents helping out this weekend, taking care of meals and helping us out with transportation. Just a lot of hands on deck. Great turnout this weekend. And it was, I'm still physically wearing this weekend, but very much worth it.
Yeah. So everything pretty much was on campus here at the church building this weekend, rather than being in the host homes. I'm guessing that maybe some of those returning host home leaders might have said, "Oh, good, I can help in other ways rather than be in my house."
That's totally possible.
But I know some of them walk away really, like you said, enjoying having those kids in a home. Yeah. But this year it was up here on campus because you could spread out more.
That's right.
You said groups. You have lots of different groups. You have some leaders of those groups doing things with them. What happened? What was the main theme? Yeah, the theme of the weekend?
Okay, so on the back of the T-shirts, you would see the word credo, which is Latin for I believe. Okay. We were studying the Apostles' Creed, which would have been an old church confession written in Latin. Mm-hmm. And so we took the first word of the creed of that creed is credo. I believe in God the Father, Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. And so we were really looking at very, very basic doctrines of what we believe. We believe in God the Father. We believe in Jesus Christ, His Son, who suffered, who was crucified, dead, buried, ascended into hell, whatever exactly that means, rose again on the third day, the church, the Holy Spirit, forgiveness of sins, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And we were hitting that stuff this weekend, and it was good. It was good stuff.
So foundational things of
foundational.
our faith. You
Yep.
said doctrine, that word in there as well. That's not just a light term in a sense. So some theology things
Yep.
that are being discussed and talked about.
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking that probably one or two of those groups were junior high girls and boys.
I'm thinking so.
What does that look like with doctrine, teaching, and theology and kind of things? There.
You get to what you can.
That's awesome.
And then your discussion derails, and you attempt to direct a path that'll get it back onto the rails for a little bit, and then it'll fall off into a ravine over here, and you try to direct that thing back. It's an art. It's an art.
It's an art.
I lead the little Wednesday nights, the discussion group with the 7th and 8th grade boys.
do you?
And it's a joy and it's
Yes.
a challenge all in one.
Yeah.
These guys, they're high energy and they're all over the place.
Yeah.
But man, it's a good time.
So you had leaders with each of them. So tell me a little about the leaders, or
Yeah.
maybe bio in general, the leaders.
So it's a mix of college students in our church. Some of them grew up in our church.
Yeah.
Some of them didn't. Some have been here for years now, and some of them, this is
Okay.
really their first year in. But we specifically go out and recruit college students that we're confident in, where they are in their own walk with the Lord, just exhibiting personal responsibility, personal holiness, that kind of thing. And especially if they've got some energy and fire and enthusiasm about them, man, that's a huge plus. And we had as good a group of them as I've had this year.
Now,
for sure.
I know some of these leaders.
Yeah.
My daughter's one of those leaders.
Right.
That's why I know some of these
Yeah.
leaders pretty well. And I also remember when I was a college student.
Yeah.
And I was still growing in my understanding of some of these
Absolutely.
doctrines and theology, those kind of things. So they're the leaders in these small groups.
Right.
So how did the teaching come to them? What were you expecting those leaders to do with that? Because we're kind of getting the inside scoop on Disciple now that some of our folks might not know about.
So it goes different ways
Yeah.
in different years. Most of the time, I will write some small group curriculum to go alongside of what I've talked about with our weekend speaker, what direction he's going to go. We were actually using a pre-prepared study this year, which was a little bit different. This is a Matt Chandler sermon series that's been converted for use in this way. So we're actually using video teachings as our large group times, which we've actually never done before.
Yeah.
Actually went really well into, again, small group material that went along with that. And man, I really got some really good reviews on that, which, it kind of makes you look back on some pastors like, we put so much work in the past in writing stuff, and then like, this is really good, and it went really well.
Yeah, well, that is right. Yeah. Well, don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not diminishing what those college students bring to the small groups, because, but they bring so much. I mean, I've had a chance to do these years ago, and I've listened to you and what they bring to the table, just relationally, and how they are kind of processing their beliefs in life and sharing those with college students. And these college students. What's advantageous to having college students among high school students and junior high students?
Right. Let me say one thing about that, in that there's an opportunity in it for the college students as well. Because they are also, like all of us, but especially in our growing up days, they're also on a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Learning things about themselves, discovering their own gifts. And I can just personally attest, it was actually my last semester here in college, leading a small group again over the course of that weekend in Disciple Now, when I really finally came to terms with my own call into ministry. And I think that happens for a fair number of people. Yeah. But man, what do they bring? They bring their own lifetime, their set of life experiences up to that point where they are, and can relate very immediately back to teenagers, because they were just there. Yeah. They were just in high school. They've walked the roads of 7th and 8th grade and dealt with middle school and junior high and the challenges and the pressures. Yeah. And the college students that we recruit, doesn't mean they got everything right along the way, but they're still on the path. Yeah. 5, 6, 7, 8 years later. Yeah. And
they bring a lot higher cool factor than you, right?
I mean, some would say. I mean, I would agree with that. No, I would totally agree with
cool
that.
factors and everything, but it does.
It does. It totally does.
For sure.
Great weekend.
Well, that's great to hear. And I really appreciate just what you said about for the college students and developing and growing them along the way as well. Many of them are in the life of our church, but many of them well, in one way or the other, probably in the life of our church, that they either grew up here,
That's right.
or they're in our collegiate ministry, and it just gives. It's another way our church
Yeah.
invests in the lives of young adults.
That's right.
Not just high school students, although we did that this weekend,
Right.
and junior high students, but also those college students, and
That's
help
right.
them, give them opportunities to lead out. And I'm telling you, this guy right here, he is. He talked about writing curriculum for things before, so I didn't tell him I was going to say these things, but he is solid in sharing the truths, the doctrines, the theology, and doing those kind of things. And I say that because that was not my strength as a youth minister back in the day, but does that well. And so leading those, there's no doubt in leading those college students. I have 2 college students myself that benefit from his leadership as well as Josh's as well. So some good, solid stuff.
Excellent.
So all that's we talked a lot about what they're getting, but what kind of parallels alongside
and then,
the learning and growing?
There's all kinds of hanging out happening.
Yeah.
And then specifically this year we had Squad Wars going on at the same time, which I
Okay.
talked about was going on at Flannel Fest. It's been going on all semester for us, basically. And we finish it up typically at our fall retreat. Didn't do a fall retreat this year. We did D now because we didn't want to take a group out of state during this. And so we were finishing up Squad Wars, had some competitions going into that. We played some blacklight dodgeball in the gym on Friday night. That's always a ton of fun.
Good.
And then we sent our students on what we called an adventure quest, which was basically something like a treasure hunt all over campus here. So they were everywhere over the course of an hour trying to find their way, leading eventually to an orange squad victory there. And then we did some skits on Saturday night that were hilarious and fun, and finished it out playing broom ball at the Jones Center, which is basically ice hockey in shoes. So.
Right. Wow.
We don't skimp on the fun either, but that's an add-in, to what we're really here to do. So.
Yeah, well, we sometimes talk about and really just in one sense, a little bit of the attraction in order to grow in the relationships, to grow in understanding God and those truths, and so you really parallel life together.
Oh, absolutely.
And Disciple Now Weekend does that. What's the big takeaway or big benefit of Disciple Now for you?
Yeah, man, this one was a reminder. For sure. I've just got written down on my sheet of paper in front of me. I think it was very, very helpful for 7th graders. I think maybe for the first time, some of them feel like they're a part of this youth group now.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to welcome them in the way we have in years past because of conditions that we're in right now. But we were able to do this event, and that goes a long way toward that.
Awesome.
And then the other thing I'll say is just this reminder again, it's so good to be together. We had a lot of events get canceled this year. Mm-hmm. A lot of things very, very different, but I was just kind of feeling over the course of this weekend, we're finally recapturing some of what has been lost and what's been missing. Starting back kind of regular in August on Wednesday nights it was still weird, and we're all spaced out and masks and that kind of thing. But over the course of the semester, and I would say especially leading into this weekend, it kind of feels like, oh yeah, this is what this is, and it's good to get to do these things. So,
sense of normalcy, but also building community that hasn't been able to be there.
That's right. Outstanding weekend. Lance, we got one more thing on the docket here.
Okay.
We've got a service opportunity for our students, not for our students, including our students, but for our whole church going on. What is it?
So we have Thanksgiving boxes of blessings. So if you were here in church on Sunday, you've kind of heard about this for the first time. Just a neat opportunity for us to care for some people in the life of our community. I heard somebody say one time, kind of make the statement before, if you can't do something for everyone, do something for at least one person. And don't just avoid that. And so we're not going to be able to care for all our community that might have need, but we're going to find very specific ways to care for some people in the life of our community through Thanksgiving boxes of blessings.
Especially that school right over there.
Yeah.
Right next door.
Yeah, so you bring that up. So what is this? This is taking literally boxes. We're going to make some big boxes or buy some big boxes, and we're going to put a whole Thanksgiving meal in there for a family of 4 to 8, and provide that for them to take and have for Thanksgiving, where they can use that and prepare for that. So we'll provide everything that they need for a Thanksgiving meal, just like you might have with the pals, like I might have with the Brewers as we gather together as well. We're putting that in a box so that they can do that. You talked about connecting just right over here. Washington Elementary has been a place where we've had some partnership ministry, encouraging them over the years, and since them encouraging us as our people have been able to serve in various various ways. We'll connect with some of those families to be able to provide Thanksgiving meals for them. There'll be some folks that we're trying to connect with through CEO,
Right.
As well as Loving Choices. I've just got a couple of emails today from people in our church family saying, hey, I know some folks. What about helping provide for them? I said, hey, let's talk about it. Let's see how we can help as well. And so, what else do we need to know about?
Well, I was just going to say, so in years past, we've done our Giving Thanks banquet.
Yeah.
But again, that's kind of the least COVID-friendly thing we can possibly do to jam 250 people into our gym to eat this meal that we would normally spend $6, $8, $10 a head or something like that. And we're like, we would normally put money toward this. Why don't we take this year and go and bless some people with it? And this was your idea again. And this is an outstanding idea, just like Final Fest was. And I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and I think, you talk about how we can all participate there and want to show up. I mean, think about the money you might have spent on going to a Thanksgiving banquet. That may be one way. That's a pretty simple way to participate. You could actually donate to this, or you can go purchase the items we need to put in those boxes. And so, David, you probably have noticed, but in our atrium and down in our information center here on the church campus, we've got a couple of giving walls. So all over a wall, we've got just items that you can buy. So take that item and go purchase it and bring it back here. We need it back here by no later than the 22nd of November. Earlier would be better, but bring it back here then. And we will pack all those boxes. You can go online if you want to see the list that way. You can just go to our webpage. Under the registrations button, you will find Thanksgiving Boxes of Blessings. Click that and it shows you all the items.
Perfect.
You just click the item that you want to get. That lets us know, good, we've got those items coming. And then you bring them on down here. You can go through our church app as well under registrations there. Find the same thing. So great ways to get involved. We will need some folks. You'll find out more about this to help us pack those boxes either on that Sunday. And we're hoping to be able to deliver some of these boxes right to those families. Those families that say, yeah, it would be better if you could deliver them to us. We're going to need some people to help do that as well. So if you're willing to get out and safely deliver those, then we'll provide a way to do that for you.
Opportunities abound.
So, looking forward to Thanksgiving Boxes of Blessings.
It'll be good
as well. So good stuff.
Well, First Baptist, we hope that you've enjoyed connecting with us again here on First Connect, and we'll be back next week with an interview, and we look forward to doing that. See you guys.